Right, INEOS 2024 Manchester United rebuild. 3 players in, 3 players out. United won't be rebuilt in a day. That's just not going to happen because of the FFP rules and the financial responsibility regulations that now exist within the Premier League. Even if they wanted to, they couldn't just dunk a big fat load of cash into the club. I guess INEOS across the front of the jersey, I don't know, about 7 billion might do the trick, but I think people are onto them sort of games at the moment. So we've got to be smart, we've got to be careful, and we cannot afford any very costly mistakes because we've had loads of them. And it's the costly mistakes coupled with their inability to raise more than a cost of a Twix when we sell someone, which has left us in this mad situation where Manchester United, with all our revenues, are looking at FFP going, that's a problem. Now, clubs often draw up 5-year plans, not United, like well-run clubs, often draw up 5-year plans for their targets to be hit. Some are obviously longer, like you would look at the contract lengths of, say, like, I know some people would disagree with this comment, but you're not looking to replace Onana right now, and I wouldn't be looking to replace Lisandro Martinez right now. So you can probably lock down a couple of those positions. You might not be looking to replace Rasmus Højlund as your number 9 right now. You might argue that we need a second number 9, or you might need a different style of striker to give you a bit of tactical flexibility, and that's fine. But if you was drawing up like your first 11, shadow 11, and your 3 to 4 sort of additional players, I think there's a few spots filled in, but not all of them. You know, you might decide that Marcus Rashford, with the contract that he's on and the associated value of Marcus Rashford, which has got to be in the region of 90 to 100 million pound plus, has to be. There is a commercial value on top of the player value of Marcus Rashford, and you might decide, do you know what? That's a massive sellable asset for us. He hasn't degraded to the level that Anthony or Sancho would have done. That could really be the cornerstone of a rebuild. Now, you might have to think that, but it requires planning. You don't just decide to do it Monday morning and then look for a new left winger fucking, Tuesday afternoon. So you have to have some planning in place, and you also have to be flexible in case you miss out on your primary targets, that you've got your secondary and tertiary targets, but also fastballs come up. Like, who could have predicted the situations that all 3 Manchester United right wingers have dealt with over the last 18 months, for example? So let's imagine we are planning for INEOS at the moment, and it's our first year in control, and today we are looking at the squad. And I think a good place to start would be identify 3 players that we need to bring in and 3 players that we want to move out. So we're going to need a hell of a lot more in and out, but I think this is a good place to start. So who stays and who goes? This video is sponsored by our partners, Surfshark. Surfshark is a virtual private network that ensures the security of your online identity by encrypting all the data exchanged between your device and the internet. This shields your personal information from cyber threats and large corporations. And Surfshark has the capability to alter your IP address, meaning you can appear as if you're in a different location anywhere in the world. Here's some of the ways that Surfshark can benefit you. It encrypts your online data, safeguarding your personal information, especially when using free public Wi-Fi, which can be an absolute goldmine for hackers. It masks your IP address to maintain the privacy of your city, your country, and your download history. Guarantees no monitoring, tracking, or storing of your online activities, ensuring no connection or activity logs. It's got a clean web feature, which is a functionality that blocks ads, trackers, malware, and phishing attempts, and creates a secure web surfing experience. And you've got the convenience of using one account across unlimited devices, including phones and laptops. If you're interested, get an exclusive Surfshark deal by entering the promo code Howson, that's HOWSON, to get up to 6 additional months for free at surfshark.deals/Howson. And you can follow the link that is in this video description to take advantage of this offer if you like. Also, Surfshark will give you a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you're not happy, you don't have to keep it, and there is absolutely no risk in giving it a try. The first in that I'm going to bring in is Antonio Silva. We've done a scout report on him before. If you want to go and check that out, I'll throw the link in the description for that. But Antonio Silva really is a rising star in European football, and funnily enough, playing for Benfica is almost like an apprenticeship to go play for one of the European giants. Now, Benfica, in my eyes, are always going to be considered European giant, being our opponents in the Champions League in 1968. but in a real sense, the salaries that they can afford, and they're very much seen, as is the Portuguese league in general, as a gateway to your big European leagues. Getting to Spain or to England, sometimes via Germany or Italy. But I think Spain and England are the places that people are trying to end up. It's a shock that clubs aren't clamouring over themselves for Antonio Silva at the moment. He is a young, all-action centre-half, and he's only 20 years of age. He's got an insane amount of first-team experience in Portugal and in the Champions League. He could be a better option, I think, than someone like a Todibo. And Silva already looks like a serious player, and his ceiling is extremely high. He is in the 99th percentile for pass completion percentage, which fits United like a glove as our ball-playing centre-half, and I could really see him replacing any of our centre-halves, apart from Lisandro Martinez, and probably not quite on the experience level. No, not quite. He isn't on the experience or quality level of Rafael Varane. But I think Rafael Varane will be coming to an end within the first 5 years of our project taking over Manchester United. So it would be very prudent for us not to see the drop-off that we've had to live with in recent years, where our first-choice centre-half or halves aren't available and we have to see it fall off a cliff. Manchester City have literally got a squad of centre-halves ready and waiting to go, with half of them being on ice. So it's not mental for us to have Varane, Martinez and Antonio Silva, as well as, I'd be shocked if Johnny Evans sticks around beyond this, but his performances this season have been sensational. Is there someone else waiting in the wings that we can get? Is there another Johnny Evans that would be our fourth choice centre-half? Is there another 35, 36-year-old centre-half that could come in and just do a job for 7 games in a season for us? That's what we need to find, and that'll be free. But for now, let's just go with Antonio Silva. I think he'll cost probably a little bit more than you hope. Benfica have a business model, and their business model is to sell players, but they don't go cheap generally. And I think he's probably going to be 60, 70, maybe even 80 million pound, depends who comes in for him as well. Because if other big clubs start coming in, now you're in a bidding war, and he's going to cost you a lot of fucking money. First out, Anthony Martial. The dream is over for him. He is 28. He has gotten zero near the heights that we expected of him. We've tried him on the left. We've tried him up front, and it's just never clicked. His inability to stay fit and the consistency when he has played, and his just lack of enthusiasm for playing football as well. If we're going to be, a high energy, high tempo kind of side, Anthony Martial is very far down the list of the players that you want. Even if he was like playing regularly, he just doesn't have that inherent sort of desire to want to win the ball back. When he comes to the ball, he's a great dribbler and he's an excellent finisher of the ball. And there will be someone that decides to pick him up on that. Yeah, time to move him on. Second one to bring in is Rooney from Copenhagen as a winger. Now, we identified Rooney as a threat against us, and it could now be time to make him a threat of our own. It's a player that really looks like the real deal playing for Copenhagen. Scored the winner against us, if you're still scratching your head about who he is, the last time we met. Came on the pitch with a ridiculous level of confidence in himself and his own play. And he is another young lad. He's only 18, yet he looks like he's got all the tools to go on and be very successful and certainly be good enough to wear the United shirt. And let's be honest, it'd be great to hear Old Trafford singing about a Rooney again, wouldn't it? He's a right winger that is direct, he's skillful, obviously confident. Some of the quotes about coming from him are really promising. I think he's got a lot of character about him. We've had scouts looking at him. City have as well. Villa have been circling a little bit about him, so that tells you all you need to know. He's going to the very top in Europe somewhere. And reports a while back said that Copenhagen were only after about 30 million for him. I'd be confident 30 million would not be misspent if we brought him in. I think if United and City went head to head for him, and by the way, we've won all of those little head to heads, but have we? Was it Fred, Alexis Sanchez, and somehow, I don't know who the fucking hell spun this one, Maguire. I feel like someone might have been pulling our leg with that one. Anyway, speaking of Maguire, he's the next out. There's two centre-halves and or Victor Lindelof. There's two centre-halves in Maguire and Lindelof that are reminders of various past managers and eras at Manchester United. I would lean towards Maguire going, because I think he's on like twice the wages, and I could be wrong on that, but I believe he's on like twice the wages as Victor Lindelof is. And I actually think Victor Lindelof is more suited to how we want to play than Maguire is. I'd be tempted to keep one of them around because, as you know, we've already shown, beyond Johnny Evans, that might be it. Maguire, I feel, might fetch a higher price tag, and I think the solid season that he's had at United this season, you might see a West Ham or somebody like that coming in for him, or an Everton. I could see that, or maybe not Everton, because they're probably going to be in the Championship looking at the way their FFP situation's going. But we're never going to get close to getting what we paid back for him. And we certainly don't get value out of his wages for a player that is undoubtedly going to be well down in the pecking order. And he has had redeeming performances this season. I think that's the opportunity that you use to try and move him on and get a decent fee for him. Lindelof, on the other hand, might just stay and make up the numbers. He's by no means a bad centre-half, but there is potentially an opportunity there that you get a decent return for him. He's a regular for his country. That's got to be worth something. I mean, let me know in the comments. Out of those two, which one would you move on? And would it just depend on what fees you could get for them, or have you got a preference seeing one or the other? Next player I'm going to bring in is a defensive midfielder. And United need an elite number 6. And we're going for Federico Redondo, Argentinos Juniors. We did a scout report on him like a week ago. So go check that out if you haven't seen it. But he's got the ability, the potential, and air. I mean, he's got the fucking breeding, let's be honest. His dad was a serious player, and you can see he's downloaded plenty of how to play the game from his dad. His range of passing, his positional maturity, he already looks like he could be a generational talent. I think bringing in Redondo as soon as possible would be a brilliant decision. This kid is absolutely destined to be world class one day. And probably winning things at club and country for a long time. Have him coming in and learning from some of the characters around him, Casemiro, Bruno, Varane, Martinez. Not all of those play in his position, but there's a lot of characters that have got traits in there that could really help develop him as a genuine all-action number 6. He's already physically imposing. He's 6'1", which is a great height for any sort of player, but especially for a number 6. He's freakishly athletic. He's aerially dominant, and he's only 20. I think a Dutch manager as his head coach, you can already envisage the technical level that Redondo could get to. And I think if you were getting him in soon, there's some talk that it would cost about 8 million. Now, he spunked 8 million on Hannibal Mabry on the off chance he was going to do something after only playing youth football. Redondo's already breaking in. He's already playing games. He's already showing what he can do. You go get him. And the third one we're getting rid of, Jadon Sancho or Antony. There's another big decision for INEOS to make here. Now, I think Sancho's actions upon rejoining Dortmund do make his actions feel quite final. And it looks like he'll probably never play for Manchester United. Again, have to see in that. But he is only on loan. We did see him go and register an assist. He knows the Bundesliga. That could really work in United's favour by meaning that we get a decent fee for Jadon Sancho. And if he goes out and continues to impress, his transfer value's only going to return, getting towards what we paid for him. I don't think you're going to get what you paid for him back, but you're not going to get mugged off the way you would have done if he just hadn't have played for 6 months, like if he'd have moved, January. A good loan period for Sancho could see him earn another opportunity at United. He's going to have to get over the not talking to the manager thing because it's not going to work like that. I think he's probably going to be the one that goes. However, if we're being honest with ourselves, I don't think Antony's done enough in the United shirt either. And if INEOS wanted to make a bit of a statement, okay, we're in charge, that was a mistake, and mistakes are allowed, but we're not going to persist with mistakes, that would be a big statement to make, especially if they brought in Rooney as a bit of a replacement and said, okay, there you go. I think Sancho's our best bet at recouping some of the funds. And after the fallout with Ten Hag, it just looks like a very easy one to do. That bridge ain't getting rebuilt. So I would say, okay, thank you. Good luck in Bundesliga. Sort him out a move. Let Anthony know maybe he's on the thinnest of thin ice. And look at potentially moving him on in the future should he not manage to establish himself over, someone who's cost less than half what he cost, almost a third of what he cost. But there's 3 in, 3 out, and I think those 3 in, 3 out would all be paid for, probably more than paid for. I mean, what we spending here in total? 8 million on Redondo, 30 million on Rooney, and a bit of a spendy one. Let's call it 80 million. So you're looking at 118. Call it 120. Yeah. Call it 120 million. Could you raise 120 million? Anthony Marshall? Well, you're not getting nothing for him. He's going on a free. Harry Maguire? What are you going to get for him? 40? Got to be 40, surely. And I reckon you can get 40, 45 for Jadon Sancho. So you're getting close to getting it in there, I reckon. Not too far. Balancing the books. A little bit, at least. Or at least more than we have done the last decade. Let me know your thoughts. Or if there's anyone else that you think, oh, no, not these 3. Here's who we need to be getting. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one. Laters. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.